Hello and welcome back to the Pop Collectors Alliance, episode number 6, Funko and Pez, a match made in heaven. I am Rick, your host, joined by my co-host, Piper.
Why are we both so sick?
And if you can't tell by my voice or Piper's voice over the past couple weeks, we've got some gunk. I don't know what it is, but it's lingering. And
it was all those pops that we gave away on the cost plus shipping. They tainted our bloodstream.
They broke down our immune system watching them go.
All the goodness.
But no, that was an awesome event. And we had a lot of people that joined. We had a lot of people supporting us, and we hooked people up with a lot of pop, a lot of fun giveaways, and a great time. And I just want to thank everyone for participating. It was a 5-hour event the next day, getting everything shipped out. But I think we have everything shipped out now, and we're starting to get some of the pictures in. So thank you very much for participating in the first live cost plus shipping event. And we will have an announcement either next week or the week after when the next live cost plus shipping event will be. And we're already getting some good pop for that event. So stay tuned for that announcement.
Mm-hmm.
So bear with us this episode. I know our voices may crack, may change in pitch, but we are powering through for this episode. It may be shorter, but even if we're sick or we're dying, we're going to do it. So this week, we're going to talk a little bit about Funko. We're going to talk about Grails, put the Finder series on hold, give you a nice Christmas break from that, and bring that back on our next episode when we talk about Think Geek and GameStop. So the first story this week that came out, it's not really that new. I knew about it at Fun Days. They kind of announced it when Brian was talking about the upcoming releases, the Funko releases, Dorbs releases, vinyl, all that great stuff. They mentioned that Funko and Pez had come together, but there was just going to be an announcement later this year. And voila, December 20th, they make the announcement. Both Funko and Pez put something up on their websites announcing not a merger, but a collaboration, right? So Funko has the license to make Pez candy dispensers with the Funko Pop heads.
I don't know what to think about this, honestly. Like, this is just like one more thing they're trying to steal my money with.
I'm interested to see what they're going to do. It says in the article that they're going to replace the dispenser heads with pop heads. Now, that's not anything revolutionary, right? It's just what it's doing is bringing two collectibles together into one place. So it'd be the same of, they put Hot Wheels on top of Pez dispensers, or they have G.I. Joe heads on the top of Pez dispensers, or
like a little tiny G.I. Joe head.
Yeah,
like that's like the smallest Pez topper ever,
or Beanie Babies on top of Pez dispensers. Whatever they're trying to do here. I know it seems like another money grab, but again, their stock price is kind of hurting this week, unfortunately. But this is some good news to at least be collaborating with somebody and getting a different line of products there. They're doing a little bit of better packaging of those pop t-shirts. Again, they're just trying to diversify here. I'm anxious to see what it looks like because I'm really worried that they're just going to put the same pop heads on these, and it's stuff that they've released already. So what does that benefit us?
None. I don't need, it's just going to be like Freddy Funko and Kylo Ren and Wolverine. That's all it's going to be.
And Porgs. Porgs.
Oh yeah. You know what? I'll be disappointed if there's no Porg.
That's the first one they've got to release.
Oh man, I hope so. What doesn't make sense to me is why aren't they just putting the pop minis? Why aren't they just sticking those on top so you get the whole pop?
What if they do that? What if that's what they do? What if they're like, we've got all these pop keychains that we can't sell, and they're sitting.
So let's just glue them onto a Pez dispenser,
and they're sitting in their warehouse, and they just send them over there to have them repurposed as Pez dispenser tops. Like, we've got a backlog of 40,000 pieces of pop keychains, and then they just send them back over, and then they accidentally put 5 or 10 of them with the keychain thing still attached to the top.
How long do you think until those end at $5 and below, or dirt cheap?
What's the over under on that?
Yeah,
Oh
right.
man, I don't know.
I was just saying to you before we started this, I didn't know Pez was considered to be collectible things. I just thought that there was like garbage you got in your Christmas stocking. I didn't realize that people collected these.
Well, I know that they were a big thing like in the 60s, 70s, or 80s in that time frame. And I know that it's just like anything else, like Hot Wheels, they're collections that could span generations. I haven't personally seen a Pez dispenser in a minute other than online somewhere. I know that tons of them can fetch.
I saw some at Walmart the other day. They were like a Lord of the Rings ones. They had all the Lord of the Rings characters in like a big box.
Where did you see that at?
So
in the front of the store?
Yeah, and down the card aisle, at the very end of the card aisle in my Walmart, they have some collectible things. Like they'll have like Gears of War. It's always like a bunch of Gears of War and Harry Potter stuff, but it's just stuff nobody wants. And then stuck in there was like a box set of like 8 Pez dispensers that had all the main characters from Lord of the Rings.
Well, my problem with Pez is like it's borderline Tums. It's like halfway between sidewalk chalk. Sidewalk chalk. It's halfway between sidewalk chalk and a Tic Tac, right? I think it bridges that gap. It falls somewhere in between there.
It's the chalkiest Tic Tac you've ever seen.
Exactly. They just repurpose sidewalk chalk and they just they crush it all down and they throw it in with the Fun Dip stuff that you get. And they're like, just crack that together. And they're like, oh, we have a Pez now. We have this candy we made. We repurposed 2 things. And the guys at Fun Dip are like, oh, surprise.
I like the flavor of, I like the raspberry Pez and the lemon Pez. They're not the worst tasting candy. It's better than like Smarties or anything like that.
Yeah, but I'm a flavor guy. Like I like bursting flavor. I like sour candy and things like that. So that's probably why I don't like it. I'm not saying Pez is terrible to everyone. I just think it's very, very bland. But I don't collect Pez either, and I don't have any sort of attachment to it. So interesting to see what they're going to come out with. Maybe they'll have some San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Pez dispensers that people are going to wait 14 and a half hours for.
Well, I hope that Funko does well with the accountant of candy.
What?
You said it's bland and boring.
Oh, there you go. The accountant of candy. I like
my joke was just too dumb for you.
It was too complex for me. It was over my head. Over my sinus impacted brain thought. So the second thing that we wanted to talk about this week, Piper, I'll let you take this one.
So I guess Funko is in a little bit of hot water with some of their, I guess it's the rock line of their pops. Gibson, the guitar manufacturer, is suing Funko over, I guess, unauthorized use of their guitars. And from what I was reading, it's specifically the Gibson Les Paul shape. And I don't understand, one, how, I mean, there's lots of guitar manufacturers that use this same shape. It's not just Gibson that has a Les Paul. I mean, there's tons and tons of like cheap garbage guitar manufacturers that use it. But second, how could Funko just overlook the fact that maybe we should probably get licensing for this very iconic looking guitar?
And it's something that's always plagued me too with these licensing things and how likenesses are and just the complex nature of what bringing licensing and likenesses are into any type of product, right? So if in podcasting, if I want to use a song, I can't just go to the artist and say, hey man, can I use your song? Unless they're self-published and self-produced, all those check marks are made. I have to talk to the artist, the record company, the distributor, and get all of the licensing from them so that I can use that for a product. So it's so complex, and I can see in a company like Funko that is always eager to go out and get these licenses and likenesses to use to sell product where they could overlook something. But at this stage in the game, when you have as many employees as you do, it's a little bit irresponsible. But the good news for them is that it's nothing that I believe is releasing in the future. It's all previous, either vaulted, one vaulted pop, and then one pop that's still in distribution, but nothing of significance here.
Yeah, I think the only 2 pops that this actually applies to are the Kiss Star Child, so Ace Frehley's pop, and Slash from Guns N' Roses. I haven't been able to find any other rock pop that is using any like Gibson specific like look to their guitar. Either they're really generic looking guitars or like Fenders, and there's a couple of people like the Lemmy Pop from Motorhead. He's using a Rickenbacker. So there's none in there, none of the other ones I can see. So I mean, I see the resolution as just well, like the Star Child Pop. That's not in circulation anymore. It's been vaulted, so that's not an issue really. Slash is going to be the only one, and I could, Funko's resolution that could just be to cancel it, like they've done with so many other pops that have violated some kind of agreement or
made Tom Cruise mad.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is angry. Mystery Science Theater, you lose the rights to that. There's a whole slew of times that this has happened. So I mean, I can just see them canceling Slash and him shooting up in price or not. He just can't get it anymore.
Yeah,
but those are the only ones that I've found so far. So hopefully there's a simple resolution, and it kind of comes across as Gibson just being like, give us money. It's a little silly to me, but that's the way licensing goes. Sometimes it's stupid, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to navigate through, because someone like me, where you could make money off of your likeness or things that you do, and then people use that and redistribute it. YouTube is a big prime example of that. People that do reaction videos where they take your video and they react to it. I'm for free use. I'm for all of that. But when it comes to making a significant amount of money off of someone else's likeness, I could see where they would be upset. I'm only really worried now because a vast majority of the pop that have come out for the Pop Rocks line have a lot of Fender products in there. I mean, even the Kurt Cobain that they're going to come with the Chase variant. I think that's a Stratocaster or a Telecaster. And there's a few people that have Strats or Telecasters. And is Fender next? Are they going to come out of the woodworks too and say, oh, wait, Gibson did that. We're going to make this class action. We're going to pile on top of it. And for a company that has a tremendous amount of debt, I find it hard to believe that they'll want to take this to court. So they'll probably discontinue and settle on some predetermined amount, but that's going to cost them again. So fingers crossed for you, Funko. The other item that I want to talk about, and it's more along the lawsuit line, but it's not against Funko. They were just included in it. Robert Kirkman of The Walking Dead, the creator and author of the comics, is suing AMC. And I don't know if people who are fans of the show know this. It was back in August of this year where Kirkman and a few of the old executive producers announced that they were suing AMC because of themselves being underpaid for specific items that had to do with the show. But also they included in there the pop figures and the royalties or amounts of money that were supposed to be paid for those, because they didn't give explicit permission. AMC did. And then again, it's a gray area on where who owns and who doesn't and how that money funnels through. So I just thought it was interesting to see like two big things I was looking at this week when I was looking at lawsuit and Funko, and it had just paired that up and gave me another article about The Walking Dead. I know that there's probably some royalties that are due there, but again, they're not suing Funko direct. He's just suing AMC.
Trying to get that money.
Dollar bills, y'all. Tying up the news this week, there's some Chris Hardwick information. Basically, everyone knows what we mentioned last week about Chris Hardwick releasing his pop and subsequently it selling 10,000 units of a 1,000 unit pop. So something had to be done immediately. And in this case, I'll let Piper break some of the good news.
So a lot of people, I'm guessing, I don't know, rightfully so or not. I mean, you can't be mad about like a system error, or you shouldn't be. If you are, then I feel bad for you. But like, there's some resolution that Chris Hardwick and Idiot had to come out with. So they sent out emails today to a lot of people that I think this is a good option. Maybe not the best option, but it is an option. So I guess there's going to be a Chris Hardwick blood splatter version that's going to be a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. And people have an option that basically ordered the original Chris Hardwick, the limited, that was 1,000 piece limited.
Yeah.
Okay, so those people, they have an option that they can either keep their order in place and they will get a $5 refund and the San Diego Comic-Con blood splatter variant, which we don't know how many pieces that is. That could be a shared exclusive with, Think Geek or someone, and everybody's going to be able to get it. It would be nice if it was limited, maybe like a 3,000 piece limited or something like that. But you get the pop, plus you get a $5 refund on your account, or you can cancel your order and get all your money back. But no matter what you choose, they're also giving you a 15% discount towards future purchases on the Idiot store. So that's a nice, at least they tried to do something for people, and you're still getting a pop. And to me, I'd rather have a blood splatter variant of a pop than just like the normal one, just because that's what I collect. I like ones that, are different. So I would be fine with that if I had been lucky enough to order one, but I wasn't. So now I got to try to find that pop.
I'm hoping anyways that they're going to side on the limited edition pop for that, and then maybe release 2,000 at the convention only non-shared exclusives and put it up on the Funko shop. That would be really good. And maybe even give Idiot a second chance so they don't act like idiots and release 10,000 of a 1,000 and let them release it on their website. But I knew Chris Hardwick would do right by his fans. He is a stand-up guy, and we applaud you, Chris Hardwick, for doing just that. Thank you, Chris Hardwick. So this week we wanted to take a break from the Finder series and talk a little bit about Grails. Now, the way I brought this up last week was in our Collector's Corner story, where I went on a type of mini rant about how people were just being ridiculous about an admin in a specific group where they had waffled or raffled a pop-off. Now, if you're not familiar with what a waffle or raffle is, it's not exclusive to the Funko community. People have been doing this a long time on Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, wherever you can get live video out. People do this all the time. What it is it basically breaks down the price of an item. Let's say I'm selling an Xbox One for $300, and I want to give people an equal chance so they don't have to pay the full amount, but give them a chance at a raffle. So I break that $300 up in 10 raffle tickets, sell them for $30 a piece, and pick one. Now, you play at your own risk here. There have been groups that have scammed people with these items that I know of personally. And I'm not even speaking about pop on this one, but just in general, you play at your own risk. And the legalities of all this, I'm not going to even elaborate on that. But I didn't want to just talk about waffles in that sense. I really wanted to talk about the true item that was made everyone upset last week, and that was the Grail that was put up and sort of give the pop collectors and Alliance members an overview on some good ways to get Grails, because everybody's looking for their own Grail. And your definition of Grail here, I'm going to put a disclaimer out. Some people think a $40 vaulted pop is a Grail, right? I call that an entry-level Grail. Anything from $40 to, say, $70 to me is what an entry-level Grail is. It's vaulted, you can't find it anywhere, and it's worth $40 to $70, right? 70 to, let's say, 150 is more of the rarer Grail, or a non-common Grail is what I like to call them. And then you have what I call super Grails, are like from 150, I'd say, up to about $500. And I call those super Grails. They're probably limited edition pops, San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, things along those lines that are really difficult to get and very expensive. But again, they're not the rares of the rares. And then some people call these things holy grails, right? These are what I consider are $500 or more. And these holy grails are things that you very rarely find anywhere. But some of the holy grails could be a really popular pop, like holographic Darth Maul, where they could make 1,000 or 2,000 of this pop, but its popularity is what drives it up. Planet Aurelia Vegeta is one of those where they probably made 12 to 1,500 of these pop, or 8 to 1,200, sorry. But the popularity of Dragon Ball Z drives the price of this item up. So that's holy grails. And that's just my 2 cents on grails.
Yes, I do agree with that. I mean, those are fair price points too. It breaks it down in a nice kind of structure.
Yeah, and everybody, this is subjective to you. So if you're not interested in buying a holy grail, then your holy grail could be $150 to $300, and you could consider a holy grail something like a pop that you just really want. It's the number one thing in your collection, and that's considered your holy grail. And that's fine with me. I mean, it's subjective to whoever the purchaser is. But for this sake, I just wanted to elaborate on some ways to find deals, where to find grails, and then talk a little bit about Facebook groups and waffling at the end of this. So to start out with, where are the deals for grails? These items, we all know, they're pretty expensive. They are not easy to find, and you're always on the hunt for this. And every time you find it, it's like, man, I've got to pay above Pop Price Guide prices or above, a generally listed price. So I took a little bit of time here, and we'll jump back and forth and hop in if you feel like I'm saying something wrong, Piper, on this. But this is our stab at where to find some deals. And this is some quality information here. Now, it may be distributed out there in the nidosphere to people on Facebook, but I think you're about to get a grade A+++ hunting tip and some really good content here on grail finding. So please listen in on this if you're really interested in finding some grails.
Get your pen and paper out.
So the first thing I want to talk about is these grails that are out there. The easiest way to get a grail is to get in front of the grail, right? And the best example I can use is the blue chrome Batman. Immediately when it said Toy Tokyo on that pop, I knew it was going to be a great grail. If you combine Toy Tokyo with anything that is super sought after or collectible, it's going to be a grail. It's going to be worth money. I identified that blue chrome pop immediately as one of the grails that was going to be sought after San Diego Comic-Con last year. Now, this is the biggest tip and trick that I can give you for any grail finding thing, is get in front of it. But to elaborate on that just a step further, if you live in any of these areas, if you live in San Diego, if you live in Seattle, Washington, if you live in New York City or the surrounding areas and you can get there, there are apps on iPhones, Android devices that you can download that will assist you in getting these grails at a great price. Now, I told you, I identified that blue chrome Batman as something that was going to be worth a lot of money. So I immediately knew that when I went to San Diego Comic-Con last year, that is number one on my priority list. Now, I've been to conventions and stuff before where the line wasn't as long as it was this year. There were people waiting in line for 24 to 36 hours for both the pop-up shop and just to get into San Diego Comic-Con, because they do a raffle on your tickets. And we'll do a show leading up to the con season next year, starting out with Emerald City Comic-Con, to sort of give you guys an overview on if you plan to attend these events and a walkthrough of what you need to do to get in the Funko line. So just an overview of how they do it at San Diego. You just get in line. They have a limited number of tickets every day. As you can tell, they have limited number of pops that they can sell at that event. So they hand out a lottery. So there could be 10,000 people in line, and only 3,000 of them are getting tickets. And they give you a time to come back and buy things. So they only sell like 100 or 200 of those Batman a day. And let's say you wait in line, and I know people that waited in line from 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. the next day when they could go in and get their raffle tickets. They wait in line, they go in and get their raffle tickets, and they get a ticket for like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You're not getting anything at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You can just kiss your butt goodbye on that, because all the rarer pieces, their daily limit is sold by 12 o'clock. So what I do is I get these apps, Offer Up, 5 Mile. I'm trying to think of all of them, but those are two of the biggest ones that are out there. There's some more out there that you can look up. Craigslist too. People put things up on Offer Up, and it's the easiest way to meet up with somebody, because you can work everything through the app and have it ready. And there are people there, as long as you just walk up to the convention center, they'll pop out and sell you pop. So I just looked for that Batman the whole time. And eventually on Offer Up, I found a guy that was selling Batman and the glow-in-the-dark Jolly Rogers that was limited to 1,000 pieces. Both of those for $200. And
what a steal.
Now that you see it, it's a steal, right? I buy it from this guy. I meet him at a restaurant, and he's like, I'll sell you these two for $2. And they were mint. I mean, I still have them. They're mint condition. Mint. Nothing is wrong. And he comes up to me to sell them to me. And he's like, you people, you pay all this money for these things. Why do you pay all this money for these things? Well, just wait 4 months. Oh, wait a second. What's Batman word now? Yeah, that'd be like $470, bro. So it's a grail now. I'm not in the mood to sell that. I don't need money for food or anything right now, and I like it in my collection. And I take it with me to conventions to show people that grail. But that's the way that you get it. So if you're going to Emerald City Comic Con, if you're going to San Diego Comic Con, if you live in these areas, make a point to go out there and download these apps and just be a freaking vulture, man. Because there are people that buy these things that have no clue about them. And they think if they can sell you a $15 pop for $75, they're getting a steal. I recommend that you don't say anything and take the steal they're thinking they're getting from you, and you'll find grails. That's the easiest way to find newer grails without paying for it. And the other one I just thought about it was Let Go. So Offer Up, Let Go, or 5 Mile. Those are all good things that people put up on sale. Also check Craigslist during that time frame of conventions, and you can get amazing deals. Amazing deals. The other place I wanted to talk about was thrift shops and yard sales. So I know flea markets too. I know a lot of people that have gotten pop at thrift shops and yard sales. I don't know if you have, Piper.
I have a story about it, so we can share my story after we go over the details.
Okay. Sorry, I'm coughing. I'm not editing this out. I'm struggling to get through this episode, but we're powering through. We're doing this for the Alliance. I'm holding my fist in the air. Anyways. No, so the thrift shops like Goodwill, the Salvation Army, I don't know what they call them in your area. In general, thrift shops either buy things or are donated things. And a lot of times they don't know what they are. And I know people that have found Captain Hook from Peter Pan, it's like $100 pop, out of box, and a whole stack of X-Men pop that were vaulted, like Cyclops, and those are the like. They were worth a decent amount of money. They're out of box. These guys were out of box collectors, so it was good for them. But again, these are grails that you could find these scenarios. Yard sales are a big, big thing, especially for the items that are older. You can find super grails at yard sales that people bought a long time ago. I've seen a couple of items that were sold at yard sales. A Sully, a Mike Wazowski, a Boo pop, all that were sold at yard sales because people had given them as gifts to their children and they didn't even look into them. So like, this can't be worth anything. They sell them. They're not always in the best shape, but if you're looking for these grails, these are pops that you want to put to your collection, buy it if you can buy it for $5 or $10. Then try to find the box that'll probably sell for $25. You've got $100 pop that you'd have to pay $100 for. You got the pop and a good box now for like $30. So always check your thrift shops and yard sales and flea markets because you'll find things that you'd never expect, especially in that secondary market where people just buy and flip things and turn them. What was your story, Piper?
So there's two here. One that's a sad one and one that's a good one. Both of them are flea market instances. So I can vouch for the fact that you can find some good pops at flea markets. One day I was just wandering around and this is really early in my pop collecting. And I didn't really put too much thought into it, but I was looking around our local flea market. It is the most garbage flea market ever. It's pretty much just scrap metal and old baby clothes for the most part. And I was wandering around and there's a family that had a little booth set up, and I was looking around and I noticed that there was a pop that was underneath a bunch of clothes. I could see the bottom of it. I didn't know what it was. So I reached in there and I grabbed it out, and it was a decent condition Syndrome that, the box was fair. I mean, there's a little bit of wear on it, but I mean, I asked the lady, I knew it was flea market. So they're either going to be super low or just ridiculously high. And I asked the lady, I was like, how much is this? And she's like, oh, you can have it for $1. I was like, all right, I will take this Syndrome. And so what was he worth right now? Like,
I don't know. I'd like to say like 80 to $100.
Yeah, something like that. So, my box is probably like a 7 condition. So, it's still worth a good amount. But my heartbreaking, like, I wish I wouldn't have been so stupid instance was I was looking around the flea market and there's a guy in the back. He had one of these big like sheds because on the back wall of our flea market, there's a bunch of different. They're literally just sheds that you can go and rent. And I was going through there, and there's a pop in there, and I was like, oh, it was a Marvel pop, right? And I'll reveal what pop it was at the end. So I was looking at it, and I was like, oh man, I just started collecting, and I was like, this would be a cool one to have. But there's a staple in the box because I guess somebody had like stapled the price in there. I was just like, man, should I get this? A guy wanted like $5 for it, and I was like, oh, $5, that's too much for this. And I put it down. Came back the next week, it was still there. I didn't buy it. Came back the next week after that, it was still there. I didn't buy it. And I was like, man, I need to buy this, but I just don't want to spend the money. And the box is all wrecked. Came back next week, it was gone. Yeah. That was a Thor pop from the first Thor movie with the helmet.
Oh,
the one,
man.
It's $105 right now.
Yeah.
I wish I would have picked that up. It kills me this day. I still think, I'm like, oh, why didn't I get that? Even with those staples in the box, I could have got another box. But again,
Exactly.
That was early on. It's really important that you do your research. Well, one, just stay on top of it, but just kind of get a general knowledge of what things are worth before you go in, so you don't miss out on great deals like that.
Exactly. And you look back at people's pictures from conventions of the past where they were taking pictures of people who were selling pop. And man, it's just like ridiculous to see what the prices of these pops were. Like Leonidas, I've got a picture. It's got like a row of Leonidas, Boo, Mike Wazowski, San Diego Comic-Con, Ghost Rider, and they're all like under $100. And you just go, oh, what? This was a real thing, and it was a real thing.
Or you go back and look at it. Just even like I've seen pictures of people taken from like comic book shops, like when pop started being a big thing, and you see all these pops that are just so insanely expensive now, and they're just there for like $10, and you're just like, oh, time travel, where are you?
It's such a killer, man. And that leads me down the next road is conventions, right? So conventions are sort of a bridge in the gap here, and I'll lump conventions in with Half Price Books and Movie Trading Company. Those are Half Price Books is a larger company around the United States, but Movie Trading Company, I don't know if they are or they aren't. I don't remember seeing any of those.
I think they're fairly large. I've seen them around.
So if you have a movie trading company or anything of the equivalent, these are places where you can find good deals. You're not necessarily always going to find a good deal there, but you can find Grail pops there. And I'll start with conventions. I work conventions, so I'm more, well, I don't want to say that. So I would say, yeah, I'm more inclined to give people deals at conventions because I'm a collector. I relate to collectors. And if you were at that convention in Austin, I gave away a lot of good deals on my grails at that convention. But you can find better deals than what I'd give. There was a guy there that was selling a ton of grails. He sold Red Eyes Golden Frieza for $100. And it's like a $200 pop now. He was selling Chase Superman for like $40. I bought $300 worth of pop from him for half of that price, like $140. I got Piper a couple of WWE pops. But that's a deal that you can find there. And you can find a lot of one-off things there, hard to find things. You may have to pay full price for some of them. But again, it's a place where you can look at that pop before you buy it. And there's no risk whatsoever in purchasing it there because you know what the box looks like. And if you damage it, it's your own fault. If you order something off of eBay, the post office can just destroy your box. And there's nothing that you can do about it but claim your insurance. And it's a place where you can see everything physically. And I always recommend that. That's a big reason why when I deal on Facebook, I always deal local because I just don't trust people sometimes. I have bad issues with that. And I've had some bad experiences with that in the past. So conventions are a good place to find deals on grails. Local conventions are even better. So the smaller, the better, I would say. We have events in Fort Worth that are strictly for pop trading, pop collecting. We have toy collector shows here. They're a small event, maybe 20, 30 vendors, and you can just get great and awesome deals there. You can get common pops for like $5 or $6 there because people come there and they buy and sell, but primarily sell their own collections. So check out conventions, Half Price Books, Movie Trading Company. These are also companies, and you may have some of these in your area that are named different, but they do the same thing. They buy and sell, right? Comic book shops are like this. They'll buy expensive Grail pops and sell them. A lot of times deal with cash. So say, I got $200 cash. I'll give it to you on this $250 pop. And don't be afraid to ask for that price. People do it to me all the time. I make fun of them when they leave, but hey, I also admit that they had the cojones to say, hey, will you take $175 for this $250 pop? I'm not going to sell it to you, but there might be somebody that will. So that's a thing that I always tell people. And don't always go to the first booth or the first store that you see. If you have 4 or 5 stores in your area, shop around, get people competing against each other because that's going to give you the best price on it. So if you have a Half Price Books or a movie trading company like we do here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and more importantly, Texas, go around there and look for Grails because they do buy those pops. They buy a lot of vaulted pops and they have a lot of Grails. And this leads me to the last topic of the week with the Grails and how to find them. So a big part of finding Grails is being there and thrusting yourself into a situation where people are selling them. And the volume is a lot higher than what it would be anywhere else. And there's nowhere else better than Instagram or Facebook to find that opportunity where you get a large number of Grails out there and people that are willing to sell them. So I want to say another disclaimer here. If at any time you feel that you need to gamble for a Grail and play in a waffle or a raffle, that's solely at your own risk. I'm not condoning or condemning the process of raffling. I have friends that have raffled things. It is a good way to generate money for the big expensive pop that you have in your collection that you wouldn't get from a seller at a specific time. It's an opportunity for people to win Grails for a cheaper price. And as always, if you decide to enter raffles, know that you're taking a specific risk when you enter something in a game of chance. I wrestled with this topic a lot this week on how I wanted to cover it, but I think I've nailed it down. So if you're in search for a Grail, there's tons of Facebook groups out there. There's tons of groups that are trading for Grails. There's people that will accept multiple trades for one Grail that they have. I'm one of those people. I'm looking for Game of Thrones, and I have specific pops that are Grails that I want to get rid of that I would accept multiple Game of Thrones pops for to complete that collection. You can find that on there. You can find people that are willing to do deals on their Grails with box damage. You can find groups that have pop swaps in your local area. Facebook and Instagram is a great place to trade and to sell. But buyer beware. Always validate your buyer. Every group typically has something in there that is sort of a vouch for or a rating system of buyers and sellers. If you get into a deal with someone who hasn't been a member of Facebook for a long time, who has sort of a dead profile, and you're chatting with them and they are not vouched for by an admin, or they don't have any points in the point system in the ratings and reviews for that group, don't deal with them. Do not deal with them. You may run into a scenario like we had on the show 2 weeks ago where you get 2 cans of corn instead of 2 pop figures. So buyer beware in that case. Outside of that, once you validate all of those things, the boxes are checked, everything, get to know the admin. People in these groups are there to help their members, and they do a really good job of that. Always have admin vouch for people too. If you're worried about it, they will be happy to do so. I know we have some really awesome admin in our group, in the Dallas-Fort Worth groups here for Pop, and they do an awesome job of getting to know the community and then vouching for people after that. With that being said, that's the place in the open market to buy and sell Grails. Now, illustrious topic of everything, waffling and raffling. Now, Piper, I know that you're familiar with like video game raffling too. I'm familiar with collectibles raffling and waffling. Now they call it waffling, so they don't call it raffling or whatever. I don't know the true story behind all of that, but I would assume that's why that's there. What that does, like I explained before, it gives you a chance to get a pop. Now, is it a way that you can get a pop for $10? I've won a raffle before. I've won a pop for a small amount of money. Is that to say I'm going to win that every time? No. And that can add up. And over time, I'm sure, unless you're David Copperfield or I don't know, who, that's probably the worst thing, the leprechaun from the horror movies, and you have the world's best luck, you're going to break even on those over time. And some of the people that I've seen people lose a lot of money on it. I've seen people who can't pay their bills that are participating in these raffles, and it's destroying them. So you can see the good side and the bad side. I would say play at your own risk. And if you enjoy it and you can stay disciplined, by all means do so. Because if you have a chance to win a pop for a good amount, waffling is the way to go. And individuals raffle stuff off online, on Instagram, everywhere. Basically everywhere where you can get a live feed put up on the internet. And I suggest that you buyer beware. Am I missing anything there, Piper?
No, I think it is also kind of important to say that the dealings that do go on within these raffles are very much in a gray area, and there is some potential that negatives can occur. I know of people that have gotten in quite a bit of trouble for doing raffles. So it is very much on top of buyer beware. It's a perform at your own risk, because it's not, shall we say, 100% legitimate. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would say that that's good. I mean, it's a fair classification from it. It's just like anything else. If you were running a casino in your house and you were making a significant amount of money and you weren't paying taxes on that money, I'm sure someone would come knocking at your door.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, all I can stress is, one, if you have an addictive personality or a tendency towards anything related to addiction, be cautious when getting into this, because like you said, it's really easy to sink lots of money into this. And myself, I've never really been involved with any raffles before. I've seen the groups, and I have friends that have either moderated the raffles or have won things in them. But it's a slippery slope. So it's just be cautious when dealing with these. But in the end, yeah, you do have potential to get some really awesome stuff for cheap or less than you would normally pay. But at the same time, you have the potential to lose a lot of money.
Yeah, and this is how I want to sum all this up with the waffling. And we've given you some really good information on grails. And when you're finding grails, it's hard to find them. That's how I can sum that up, is that you're never going to find a grail in a wall somewhere, like someone buys a house and finds a Declaration of Independence in their garage and it's like worth $4.7 million. But there's a good chance that you're going to find this out on a shelf somewhere at a thrift shop. There's a good chance that you can find something out there in the wild if you search hard enough for it.
And sometimes your mom buys you a bunch of pops for Christmas, and it turns out that bank robber Joker was worth a lot of money.
Yes.
That's a life story.
That is a true story. And I've seen the bank robber Joker. And if you were in our live event, you saw it too. Buyer beware when it comes to waffles. Now take all this information as you will. I would say that the best way to get a grail is get ahead of a grail. Try to get into Funko Fun Days, and I'm going to cover it because I am true to my word and I do support the pop collector community, and maybe we can get a group of people together to try and get in Funko Fun Days and help each other out, because that's really what I want to do. So
would be amazing if we could actually get some good people in there,
and then we can get good T-shirts.
Yeah, we could make a team.
Yeah, there you go. Alpha Team Bravo. Again, Funko Fun Days conventions, be there with your wallet ready because you're going to get a good deal on something. I wouldn't say at Funko Fun Days you're going to get a good deal. Don't go in there and buy a Freddy Funko right out of Funko Fun Days and thinking that you're going to get a good deal, because a lot of people are paying like $250 for Freddy Funkos that are now worth $100. I would say stick to the things that are at San Diego Comic-Con, New York City Comic-Con, Emerald City Comic-Con that people are selling in the local area. Offer Up, Let Go, 5 Mile, Craigslist, hit those up. And if you're going to waffle, buyer beware, user beware. That's all we have to say about that. Without further ado,
shame anybody.
Yeah, we're not shaming you. Shame. I wish I had that.
Shame. I wish I had a bell sound so I could, like Game of Thrones.
Shame. I have nothing. I have this sound.
I'm drained. Is that the official Collector's Corner sound?
No. This is the Collector's Corner. So we just mentioned this week's Collector's Corner. Hot off the presses, my friend, there are tons of things on this week's Collector Corner. There were tons of things on last week's Collector's Corner. So this week in the Collector's Corner, some of the news: Rick and Morty Series 3 is releasing. Now, I got ahead of this, and I got to tell you, the best way to get ahead of stuff is to go to GameStop or ThinkGeek and ask for their future releases list. And you can pre-order any friggin' thing on that list. And I just went, everything that said Rick and Morty, I ordered one of. So luckily for me, I'm probably going to get the Morty Sentient Arm Chase that they have releasing. It's kind of themed around that Mad Max episode, everything except for the Rick in the space shuttle. They also have one of those jumbo plushy snowballs that are releasing, and pen toppers, pint-sized heroes, all these things that are releasing with this Rick and Morty. So that should be coming now, if it's in this month, I believe, for the Rick rides. I think they're at the end of this month. I know the Hot Topic one they said was going to be like late December, early January. So
the Hot Topic ride is releasing with Hot Cash. So January 16th.
That's the best Hot Cash release in a long time. So kudos to Hot Topic.
Getting me a ride.
Stranger Things, Dustin and Dart. Now that released on Hot Topic, and Piper, you bought one, right?
Yes.
$25.
I tried to buy one. And I felt it was strange that it was $25 and like 45 cents or something like that. But in my head, I was like, maybe this will be worth buying. So I bought one. And then I got my order canceled, and they're like, we put the wrong price on the website. You got to reorder now. So I had to reorder, and I got that. And I also ordered, I didn't have a Max with the mask on. So I got one of those too.
Okay, that's cool. And thank you to Vina on our Facebook page for pointing out that it was the wrong price. I know they've done that before in the past. So she pointed that out, and it ended up being true. Riverdale Pops, they're releasing this month as well. They
are out.
Yeah, they are out and in stores now. Pop Royals. Now, I don't even know why they're doing these, but American culture seems to be enamored with the Royals. I mean, the Prince Harry and all the weddings over there people pay attention to. I don't personally get it, but if that's your thing, by all means, do it.
There is a chase in that set for Princess Diana.
Yeah, and you wanted to hear a funny story? I was talking to my wife and I saw this, and it came across my Funko sales thing. And I saw the Chase Diana, and I go, I don't know if you're familiar with this term. I think you are, Piper. If you're not familiar with this term, I'll explain it to you. I said, this is Funko's jump the shark moment. And because it was Beanie Babies jump the shark moment, like right after that Princess Di, it's like late 97, 98. That's like when the Beanie Babies started to go down. I can't even think of words to speak out my brain piece. Fortunately for Beanie Babies, that was the most, I think that's like one of the most valuable Beanie Babies they have, is that Princess Diana remembered like Beanie Baby or whatever. But if you don't know what jump the shark means, it's a term coined by somebody on the Howard Stern show now. He wasn't at the time. But it was from Happy Days when the Fonz jumped the shark. That was like the moment that it downward trended and the show like kind of like fell apart. So I was like, I looked at my wife and I go, is this Funko's jump the shark moment? Releasing royals, and the chase just happens to be Princess Di. So
well, they did the presidential candidates though. So I mean, this isn't the first time they're just doing like plain old folks.
But not this isn't a U.S. release, right? I mean, I get the presidents, the candidates, but for us, but why they could release that just in Europe? I don't know. I'm going off here. Dragon Ball Z. I'm just moving along.
You're like, I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
It's got my brain hurting. Dragon Ball Z.
Well, I want to talk about this.
Zamazu and Super Saiyan Future Trunks. We have links to both of those on our Facebook page, Pop Collector. See, I can't even say this right. I'm sorry, guys. Facebook.com/Pop Collectors Alliance on Facebook. Thus, I said Facebook.com.
Have you seen a release date for either of these? Because we just have
January.
January. Okay.
So January is the time. I don't know about Super Saiyan Trunks though. I didn't see him on the Nerdette, but again, it could have been on there, and I just don't remember it. And if it's so, I would look in stores at the end of this month and early next month for those to release. Hello Neighbor, you said, what was it, Piper? A bloody variant of the Neighbor at Barnes & Noble?
Yeah, it's a Barnes & Noble exclusive of the Neighbor. I'm surprised that they're coming out with a variant, with a exclusive for this, because I mean, the game's fine, but it's not like a super popular game. It's a weird selection. I don't really understand it.
Well, they did it with Five Nights at Freddy 2 before it blew up. They already had merchandise for it, and now you see where that is.
Yeah, but I don't think this is gonna blow up like that though.
Well, maybe it's just Funko's attempt to find a sort of a niche audience and
video game series that they can make pops for.
Yeah, exactly. Bright. I'm unfamiliar with this movie. I know it's on Netflix and it features like orcs. See, I can't even say orcs. My voice is breaking.
It's like future orcs and elves and Will Smith rapping about his parents.
There you go. And
that's all it's about.
Will Smith comes with a chase on that. Also, the Faker. Piper put up a good little picture on there about Faker from He-Man Masters of the Universe hitting Target shelves on the East Coast, I believe.
Yep.
And then
the DPCI is up for that too, so you guys can track it.
So you can use it on Brickseek. You're going to get on the fancy telling machine, boys. Get on the interwebs. Luke X-Wing at Walmart is also releasing too. And a lot of these exclusives here lately that we've put up with placeholders, check. Again and again and again, because they seem to be releasing these. And check, because they seem to be re-releasing these items. I think they've upped their quota from an exclusive to 10 to 15,000 now. Or 20,000, maybe even greater than that. But they're coming out again and again and again and again. And hopefully this drowns out the secondary market. When Piper said that was a $25 pop for the Dustin with Dart, I was like, well, what did I say on the chat? I was like, flippers.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Hot Topic's finally catching on. They're like, man, these things are worth some money. Let's jack up the price.
I'm gonna flip them. But see, that wouldn't really help, because then that $25 pop would be worth like 40. So it would just follow along the same lines. It'd just be more expensive.
They're just helping the market out.
Or it couldn't. I mean, I don't know. Some of those $15 Kamikaze exclusives are worth like $8 now, so it might not.
Which is crazy to me. I don't understand why those don't hold any value.
Yeah, because they put like 7,000 of them out there. They're just like, oh, what do we need? Oh, let's make 7,000 additional units of these. But again, it's just the Funko thing. If I could plead to Funko and say something that I want, it's just release. And I'm starting to get why they don't want to, because then everybody just turns into whiny babies about it. Yeah, James Gunn, you can't get him. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't want to hear that either. You know, I get it. So they're trying to appeal with like these 1,000-piece items, these 1,250-piece items at conventions. I get that. So whatever. I'm not even going to beat that horse to death. We try to do this show in 40 minutes or less, but it's like an hour and my voice is shot. But I'm still going to give a shout out to everybody that participated in the first live Cost Plus shipping event. It really means a lot to us that we had that amount of people in there coming in and out, participating, being active, and being rewarded for it. We do have rule changes for our second cost plus shipping event, and we will post that up. We'll release that date either next week or the following week for when we're going to do that in January. But we're excited to do it again because it was so much fun. But again, thank everyone for participating. We hope that you got all of your shipments undamaged, and may the God of UPS and USPS bless you, and many blessings be upon your pops as they travel through the airways.
I think every one of them I've seen has come back saying that they came in good shape, and a few people complimented us on our wonderful packing jobs.
Oh, so that's great. So we try to take very good care of that for you guys. So thanks again. I want to encourage everybody, if you want to be part of this great community and build the alliance even stronger. Again, we are the only podcast on the internet dedicating to bringing back collecting to the Pop Collector. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Pop Alliance Pod. Follow us on Facebook, like our page at facebook.com/Pop Collectors Alliance. You can go to our webpage, popcollectorsalliance.com. You can email us directly at info@popcollectorsalliance.com. And we pushed through this episode. I'm going to give myself a standing ovation. And Piper.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
But until next time, when we discuss the Finder series on GameStop and ThinkGeek, I'm Rick.
I'm Piper.
And we're both sick. Good night.